Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my podcast partner, former NHL Rock'em Sock'em defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played for many years with the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. I think he likes that Rock'em Sock'em part.
Yeah, I do like the Rock'em Sock'em. I also like how you're coming up with something new all the time now. Every show we've got some new introduction.
Well, I like to change it up a little bit. Yeah. We can't just keep saying that, that you played forever. With the Rangers and thing, and I think one time we talked about your Northern Michigan. One time I'm gonna, I got a couple of other introductions up my sleeve that might incorporate Walt Card.
The new one you're gonna have to incorporate it. Like exciting times here at the home of True Grit Life. I've got an air fryer coming next couple of days. I ordered an air fryer.
Oh, we're way ahead of you at the Allen household. We actually have one at home and one at the lake house.
You use it quite a bit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my wife is. I am not as. I was just complaining to her about it that I'm up. She's back at the homestead, and I'm at the lake house. And whatever she does, it's like magic on that. Like it's cooked just perfectly. Right. But there's an art to it because they give you like settings that if you're cooking a baked potato or whatever. But they're never quite right. But my wife kind of knows how to adjust it. So if you're cooking a nice piece of fish. It's perfect. And I have yet to get, I've been up here 3 weeks and I've yet to get anything perfect like the way she does. And she does everything perfect. So, there's an art to it. You have to sort of play with it and figure it out. Right. But especially with some of the stuff, but the air fryers are way cool.
I like my chicken wings too, although you can bake them, but it's not the same. And frying them, it's all the fat in them. So I'm looking forward to making some chicken wings.
Yeah, we don't make those, but my son-in-law makes his wings in the air fryer, and they're very crispy.
Yeah, nice.
So they come out nice. But I like what it does. It really does a great job with fish and
sweet potato. You're a sweet potato guy?
Yeah, we do sweet potatoes. You can do sweet potatoes in there for sure, and they're great. So
I'm gonna make it like a sweet potato French fry kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. They're great on French fries. You start from scratch and put them in there, salt and pepper them. And
do you put any oil at all on them, or like
you can? Yeah, for sure. We do sometimes. The one thing I do like is my wife makes these. We used to make them on the grill. Just potatoes and onions, and she cuts the potatoes really thin, but she puts a little oil in them, and then she puts them in the air fryer too, and that crisps them up a little bit. She doesn't put much oil, but a little bit of oil in them. So
I was watching a video yesterday of a guy making a pizza in the
Well, if I'm a kind of a cold pizza guy myself, but
really.
Yeah, I like cold pizza. Like if it it's a college thing,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when you and I never have lost that taste. But if my wife and I buy a pizza, which isn't all that often, but when we do, there's always a lot of leftovers.
Right.
And my wife will put them in the air fryer, and it tastes like the original, like it just came out of the oven. So
I never thought about that, right? Because if you do pizza in a microwave, it gets all gooey and everything, but you can put it in the air fryer. Wow, okay, I like that.
Which I know you're not a pizza person. So
well, I will occasionally make my own homemade pizza. I've got a bread maker and everything, so I make the dough in there, and I try to I have a more whole wheat flour in there, and then be careful what I'm putting on. Like not a lot of meats, go with some more vegetables and and chicken on it, and that kind of stuff. So
I'll tell you, this will be the last thing. I don't want this to be a cooking show today, but my wife does cauliflower pizza where she makes the cauliflower. She presses it and it becomes the crust. And it's actually quite good.
I've heard people do that. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's very good. You can actually buy the cauliflower crust now at the store, but my wife presses her own, and they're really good.
So she'll what does she do? She cook the cauliflower?
Yeah, and then she just presses it into. It looks like it's no different than pressing like the dough into a pie thing. You just press it down and you roll it out, and it becomes flat. And then she does like margarita pizza. So on there, she does all vegetables.
We get Terry on the show. Maybe we'll do like a cooking show with Terry on.
For sure. Like my wife is a masterful cook to be sure. Actually, my son-in-law is incredible as well, and he's he's a road construction. His family owns a road construction thing, so it's not like he has been involved in the restaurant business, but he does a really nice job. He's a master griller, to be sure. So anyway, hockey.
Yes.
This is what we're here to talk about, not about cooking.
Yep.
And it looked, according to Pierre LeBrun, who's been wired in better than anyone else on this story, another week to 10 days, we may have this finalized. They're still talking about the 24-team format, although I think people have sort of been confused based on, the emails and stuff that I get. It's not 24 teams in the playoffs.
Right.
It's 24 teams that get in, and then there'll be some sort of games to determine the 16 team format. And I think that's a big difference. I think people were confused about that, and that may be why I've seen a lot of fans kind of express outrage over this 24 team format, because I think they think we're expanding the playoffs, and I think they're just trying to be fair with the bubble teams who we were expecting obviously 82 games and didn't get their 82 games. And we all know historically that teams squeeze into the playoffs in the final week. And there's, tight races in the divisions. So, so it looks like we're going to get there. But you had sent me an article, and I think this will be fun for us to discuss, that Larry Brooks, who likes to stir the pot a little bit.
Good at it too.
Does a great job of doing that. He's a must read because he's always got some little tidbit that others don't get. But he put in there that one of the great concerns about all this has been, and just to put a face on it, players have said, the guy like Carey Price, who plays for a not so good team in a short series, could come in and just steal the show. I can see that, particularly when we don't know how sharp players are going to be after the long layout. I talked to Stu Grimson recently, and we talked about, he remembered from 94 and 95 that, there was a long layoff and players had to come back. And he said it was a bit of a struggle for everybody to sort of get back in shape. So if everybody is not quite as sharp, their conditioning isn't quite where you expect to be, plus we're playing, I think there's a psychology about playing August hockey, where your body says, wait a minute, we're getting ready to go to training camp now. We're not playing high intensive. And so I think you got to sort of fool your body that we're actually playing when we should be. So with all that going on, it seems like it's just right for a goalie, an out of this world goalie like Carey Price could come in and steal the show. Thoughts?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's interesting how that came up, right? I mean, you're right on. Larry Brooks does a fantastic job. I trust that really was part of the discussions. Was he used as an example, and probably the prime example, because of people when they poll players around the league, he seems to be the guy that everybody claims to be the number one goaltender right now. But I remember back, we played the Islanders, Rangers against the Islanders. I believe it was the 83 season, I think it was, when Kenny Morrow scored in Game 5 in overtime for the Islanders to win in Long Island. So it was a best of 5, and we were up 2-1 going into the Garden for Game 4. So if we had won Game 4, we would have eliminated the Islanders, who had won 4 straight Stanley Cups. And Billy Smith in Game 3, I think we scored like 7 goals on him or something. He was not very good. We had a great game, but he was not very good. And I remember him getting interviewed after the game. And I saw the interview, and he just was like, there was no like, oh, poor me, I was terrible like that. I wasn't good. That's done with. I'm going to prepare myself for the next game. And he came out, and we played. I remember I thought we played a really good game in Game 4 at the Garden and could have won. But he was fantastic, and we couldn't beat him. And then had to go back to the island for Game 5, where ultimately Kenny Morrow scored in overtime. It was a great game, but I do remember that game in particular was probably the game I remember the most, particularly because he had not had a great Game 3 to then come back and play so well in Game 4. Right? There's no sign of him losing his confidence or anything like that. In fact, in the interview, like I said, it was very clear he had put Game 3 behind him, and he was moving on to Game 4 already. And he was a difference. I always look back, and the fans always do it too. The Rangers, and we should have won that series. Not that they didn't deserve it too, but we had them and should have won if he had not played so well in Game 4.
Yeah, what's interesting about goalies, thinking about this, like, there's great goalies where you just, expect them that they might be able to win a series, like, Vasilevsky or Carey Price or some of the other type goalies. But also what happens, I think, in these situations is just some good goalies get incredibly hot. And that's happened in the playoffs, even under normal circumstances. I remember years ago when I first started covering the National Hockey League, I think 3 or 4 years into my career, John Casey just got incredibly hot for the Minnesota North Stars, and he took a team that had no business being in the.
Remember the goalie for the Washington Capitals that did that too? Go way back, I think it was like 80s or 90s, or whatever. I can't remember. He really didn't play much after that, and it was like, he played really well for the Capitals. I'll think of his name, but
but the John Sebastian Jaguar had an incredible run one year, and we don't think of him as a great goalie, although he was a very good goalie. He was probably underrated when he played, but so there's always like that's I think there's a lot of goalies in the league that are capable of playing. That kind of just get hotter than you imagine. Like some of the goaltending records, like Brian Boucher, has the shutout record.
He was my client at the time too. I was representing. Right. That's why.
Yeah. Well, then I'm sure that's why. But Brian Boucher is not going to the Hall of Fame.
Nope.
But nobody has had more consecutive shutout minutes than Brian Boucher. Yep. He was just incredibly hot at that period.
Yeah. So, and he really played well for those games. It wasn't like some fluke or whatever. Yeah, he was playing fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, all that is possible. So, I think if that's one of the things that people are concerned about. I think.
And you're right, with all the time off, how good, like I look at a team that I like so much, I talk about all the time, the Boston Bruins, and they're like that well-oiled, 200-foot machine, they play well at both ends of the ice. Now they haven't played much. I mean, how quickly can they get back to that, like, really sharp game? Like a team like that plays a really intense, focused game, maybe they don't get back to their game as quickly as others, right? Maybe other teams just rely on their talent a little bit more, and maybe they do better. That's going to be the hard thing to tell you. I don't know if you can really predict how that's going to go. That part of like who is going to benefit from this, and who is not going to benefit from this. We've never been through this before, so I don't know how we can tell.
No, that's good. Because I'm actually working on a story about the sleeper teams, and like obviously one of the ones that I think everybody has sort of identified is the Columbus Blue Jackets, because suddenly they went from one of the most beat up teams in the world to having everybody healthy, including Seth Jones.
Yep.
But Atkinson is back, Seth Jones is back, and that team's hard to play against. John Tortorella assures that team. So,
okay, that's a good thing. Who is your sleeper team then? So you're saying Columbus?
Well, I think Columbus is everybody's sleeper, but I think there are other teams as well.
No, they're not my sleeper team. Don't be throwing me in that, Paul. I'm going to go, a team that I'm really not crazy about, but I think it's going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're just run and gun team, ton of talent. I don't know if everybody's going to be able to pull their game together quickly enough. I would see Toronto be my sleeper team. See, I picked Toronto, and I stunned him.
Yeah, you did. You lost me there for a minute. I seem to be having some internet problems, but I guess that's me. But Toronto. Well, the only thing that surprises me about it is that you're a defense oriented guy. That's how you made your. But
here's my prediction. Here's where now this is going in my mind. I'm thinking that like the teams like the Boston Bruins, or the St. Louis Blues, are that really good team at both ends of the ice. And they've been away from the game for a long time. So are they going to be able to come back and just flip that switch and become that great defensive team right away? Or is it the offensively talented team like the Toronto? Young kids, doesn't affect them as much. Martyr and Matthews haven't, they're young kids. They can come back quicker, I think, than the older players. So I'm going to go with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's my sleeper.
But that's a great thing to talk about, because I think some fans would be curious about this. Yep. So defensive play it's not something that comes natural. You've got to sort of work at it. Like, is that what you're saying? Like, it's
because I think it's such a team part. It's a team thing, right? Like an individual, like Mitch Marner for the Toronto Maple Leafs, he can go out there and make some great offensive play. He's not relying on everybody else necessarily. Maybe another player to work a give and go, but he can go out and make a great offensive play. If you're going to play well defensively, it's all 6 guys, 5 guys, and the goaltender working together, trusting each other that they know what that teammate is going to do and he's going to do it. So one of the keys to being good defensively is that you just do your job. If you're not doing your job, if you're trying to do somebody else's, then you're not doing your job the best. So you've got to trust that all guys on the ice in your team are doing their jobs and you just concentrate on yours. If you're not confident that everybody else is going to do their job, then you're going to cheat a little bit because you don't want, something defensively. So yeah, I think listen, it'll happen, but I don't think it's something that's going to just, okay, we're going to step on the ice and all of a sudden the Boston Bruins are going to play the same way they did during the previous part of the season. So they'll get it back again because they know how to do it. But I think those offensive players are going to have a better chance of success early on.
So offense is going to be ahead of defense when we first start.
I believe so. Yeah,
that's going to be individual skill, which is instinctual, which is sort of natural, which just it's spontaneous.
Right. I can see Toronto playing Boston early. And Marner and Matthews are just like going up and down the ice, and the Boston guys are used to just that reaction. Okay, here's how we play defensively. I know what my teammate's going to do. And then all of a sudden, Marner and Matthews do something great, and the Boston guys looking around and going, God, we didn't. That's not what we normally do, right? That's And again, now that we're talking about it too, I wonder about the age factor. I mean, young kids. Like I'm trying to think when I was younger and playing, I think it was just easier just to step on the ice and go. When you're an older guy, I know guys keep themselves in great shape, but you're older, right? I mean, if you're 10 years older and you've had 10 years more wear and tear on your body, that's that you got to take that into when you're fat.
Well, the only problem is some of the older guys are the guys that have been working out because they have this workout stuff, and the younger guys have done.
Yeah, true. Yeah. What about the Swedish guys too? Do they? I mean, because they've been skating, do they have a better, or because we're going to have a 3-week training camp? Is it
Yeah, no, I think they do have an advantage. Yeah. Like I think if you've been in a place where you've been able to work out, or especially if you've been able to get ice, I think that's really key.
Totally.
Getting the skating. Yeah. So
because that's the one thing about hockey, you can train all you want, and you need to do the training, but you can't simulate skating that well. It's always different what you get on the ice.
Yes, yeah. Speaking of unnatural acts, skating is not. It's everything else in sports. Is you can simulate that, but you can't. You got to have an ice rink.
Yeah. So here's one of our loyal listeners and followers here, Ron Greshner, cutting us up our hair, making comments to our hair again.
Yeah.
But we all need to watch Ron when we get on our Thursday afternoon show. When Ron comes on, it's always a treat to figure out if he was able to turn the computer on or not. So I think he's got to be careful with his criticism of our hair.
Well, it's been a discussion in my house because obviously I've not been able to get my hair cut. Right. We don't even have them open, but even when they do open, I'm a little leery. Like that whole concept. I've gone to the same barber for 20 years,
right?
And it's a 2-chair deal, but they just move people in and out of there, and you go there, and there's 3 or 4 people there, and 50 people that have gone in and out of that thing. So I'm a little concerned by that since I'll
send you one of my buzz things that I've got. You can cut your hair just like mine. Do it yourself.
I just really have no desire to do that. But what I'm going to do is my wife goes to a woman who cuts both male and female, and I've known her for a lot of years, and I know she has been very careful and she's been sheltering in place, and so I'm going to, because my daughter's getting married in late August. So I'm going to have to get a haircut at some point here. And in order
You're going to go to a salon then, like a female salon?
Well, I don't know if I'd call it a salon, but I'm going to a place where it's just her place, and it'll be just one person. And, she probably does 5 or 6 people a day as opposed to.
You get like a facial and all that kinds of stuff there as well?
I can't imagine.
Right.
that I will be doing that. Nor do I think I'll be getting a shampoo. And
Maybe we can do a video of that, like you in the salon there. That'd be good.
speaking of that, this is actually kind of a manly male story here. When my daughter, oldest daughter, got married, I suggested to the guys, my son and my son-in-law, hey, look, on the morning of the wedding, let's go out and go old school and all get shaved by the barber. The razor and the strap.
Straight edge, yeah.
Yeah. So I called around and I had trouble finding someone who could actually do that.
Yeah.
And I finally found a guy. He goes, oh, yeah, I do. I got in there. We all went in there. And I'll tell you, blood was shed for everybody that day. Like that guy, I don't know what the deal was on that. But
I actually tried that. I bought one and tried that myself. I don't know how they do that.
Well, I'll tell you, it just didn't go well. We took video of it. We thought it was going to be a lot of fun. But mostly it was just annoying and painful. It just didn't go well. So I said, since my daughter's getting married in South Carolina, for some reason, I just feel like they would do a better job there in South Carolina. So we talked about doing it again, but now with the pandemic, I doubt whether we're going to do it.
When did she get married?
She's getting married in late August.
Oh, okay.
So unless it's the decision, they have insurance. So if it feels like it's wrong, they're going to cancel and.
Yeah.
But right now, like they actually haven't had as many cases in South Carolina as we've had in Michigan or you've had in the New York area or anything like that. So, but anyway, still concerned about. But getting back to hockey here, we keep getting this distracted a little bit. What I wanted to say is, get based on your theory, and I like it, by the way. It's sort of like what happens in spring training when the pitchers show up a little bit ahead of the hitters. The hitters' timing isn't down, and these pitchers can still throw 90-some miles an hour. So, hitters aren't catching up with the fastball when they first start. And then they start to get their timing a little bit better, and suddenly the pitchers aren't ahead anymore. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes pitchers that don't throw many breaking pitches, and so the fastball hitters are ahead a little bit in spring training. So what you're saying here, because everybody's timing is going to be a little off and trying to think that the offense is going to be ahead. So here's my question. 5th on my list of sleeper teams is a team, and this might fall under the category of wishful thinking because I really want to see them do well because I think it would be great for the league, and that is the Edmonton Oilers. Now, this is a flawed hockey team. Okay, let me get this straight. I am not suggesting that under normal circumstances, are they a prime Stanley Cup contender? They got work to do. But in this format, with our man Connor McDavid and Draisaitl at the top of that, and even a guy like, not that he's even close to being in their category, but he's a breakaway waiting to happen at all times, Athanasiou. Could this team just get on fire and all of a sudden, Draisaitl and McDavid just ends up having like 1980 style playoff numbers, where,
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I can imagine that if I'm playing today, I'm a defenseman and I've been sitting around for 3 months or whatever. And yes, I'm going to have 3 weeks of training camp, and now I'm going to step on the ice and Connor McDavid's coming down me at 100 miles an hour. And I've got to face him. And you're not, in 3 weeks, you are not back to your game yet, especially if you've had that much time off from skating. These guys are not used to having that much time off. So I like it a lot. I can see them early on, like they may not be great defensively, but they're playing so well offensively. They're winning those like 7-6, 7-5 games because of the Connor McDavid factor. I like it a lot.
Well, let me ask you this, because you have said to me on not many occasions, on a couple occasions, you've said to me that the only person who ever intimidated you when you were a defenseman was Mario Lemieux, just because of his combination of size and skill. Yep. He had multiple factors that you had to contend with when you were trying to deal with him one-on-one. And even the great one, who didn't, it was no picnic going against him, but you weren't, you didn't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, you weren't worried about getting beat one-on-one with Wayne.
Yep. So Connor McDavid, would you put him now on that list if you had to face him today? Would he be a guy?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The speed, he's coming at you with so much speed, and you've seen some of them. And, here's the problem, too. And I was like this with Gilbert Perreault. I grew up around Toronto. I get the Buffalo games all the time. Gilbert Perreault, I watch him all the time, beat guys one-on-one. So when you go to play him, you've seen what he can do, right? Especially nowadays, it doesn't matter where it is. You see all the players play. And you've seen some of the great moves he can make at high speed. So now you've got to be moving back fast enough. You can't give up the blue line too much. If you back it on top of your goaltender, he can shoot through your legs as a screen. He's just got so many weapons because of that speed, but also being able to make plays and decisions at that high speed. So, no question. If you're playing defense against him, especially having all this time off, I mean, it's like, and again, that's where, if you're going to play against Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, that's where it's a team thing. All 6 guys on the ice have to be playing the same game against him. You have to be aware. But listen, you can't just be covering Connor McDavid when he's out there. There's other guys on the ice, but you got to be slowing them down in the neutral zone as forwards. The defenseman got to be standing up, taking time and space away from him the best you can. And again, you miss that much time. That part of your game isn't there right away. Again, it'll come back, but it's not there. So I like your call with David and them and Drillers. I think they'd be a real hard team to play against.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. What's your feeling on the hub situation? Now they're only talking 2 cities. Where do you think players? Where's the safest 2 cities in your mind where players aren't going to get tempted? Like I would fear going to Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver.
Well, one of the cities you're saying is Vegas. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
yeah. Aren't you inviting a problem?
Yeah, I know. I agree. Columbus is a beautiful city. I love it, but it's not. You're not looking at it like Vegas or New York, or Chicago, or Montreal. So, yeah. I just when I heard Vegas, I was like, okay, it makes sense because there's a hotel space there and everything. But yeah, I mean, these are young guys. I mean, I hate to say it, but they're going to want to sit in a hotel. And now I know not every team is going to be staying there for months because they're going to get eliminated. But the teams that are going to go for a while are going to be sitting in that hotel sooner or later. It's guaranteed some guy is going to sneak out.
That whole thing is just going to be so hard. Like, look, if it was me having to do that, I could do that.
Yeah, you're not. That's not your personality.
Yeah, I don't need to go out and gamble and carouse and all that. But young, healthy athletes, that's part of the lifestyle.
Yeah, totally. They always think, well, I'm not going to get caught. And I was the same way when I played. The rules don't apply to me. I won't get caught. I won't get hurt. I'm an NHL hockey player. I've always been able to do what I want to do. And they're no different now. They're human beings, and they've always done whatever they want to do, and they're going to do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about all this. As much as I want all this to happen, because I really would love to see a hockey tournament, I hope we just don't have any issues. And what worries me most is not that the players will get sick. I think if they do get sick, I think it'll be a blip for them. I think they're young and they're healthy. They'll maybe annoyance, but I don't think there's going to be an issue. But we've talked about it many times. There are other factors to be considered, and they could carry it to other members of their own family and so forth. And I've seen suggestions that families are going to be allowed to visit in some way, shape, or form. Now, who knows? Because this has not been finalized, but it'll be interesting. But I'm waiting for that 67-page story that we're going to get about what they can and can't do once this all.
The baseball one with no spitting and all that kind of stuff. We talked about that the other day. Yeah,
we did do that. What I'm curious of is because that's what they're going to do with baseball players. So is there a way they're going to be able to, but you couldn't take the glass down. So I don't know how they could do that. So
what was that? You froze up there for a sec. What were you saying?
Well, just about how they're going to do the bench situation. You can't put 20 guys.
But I agree. So, but if you want to separate guys on the bench, but then you get on the ice and how many times you see there's a scrum in the corner and there's 4 or 5 guys in the corner on top of each other.
Yeah. So. No, you're right. You're right. So yeah, maybe you just accept the fact that if you're testing all the time,
right,
and if guys start out with everybody negative,
I know, and they've talked about this too. So what happens? I don't know. What happens if they've talked all the time about in the fall, how they think there's going to be another wave of the pandemic. It's going to. They've talked about that from the start. That's going to happen. I just,
And now they think it's going to be later. They think it's going to be in December, which is right when we start the next season.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I still don't see us, getting fans.
Yeah.
And how can we do college football? I just.
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw that today that NYU, New York University, is going to open up the fall semester. That the students are coming back to class. I don't know if that's the first college I've seen of that or not, but I didn't think that was going to happen. But
I actually think there's several that have already announced they're going to. And what's interesting about that, I think that's fueled by the fact that polling says that kids would rather, because most of them are young and they know they're going to, chances are 99 point think that they won't die from this. But they'd rather face an annoying virus than having to stay home and go with classes online. So
totally.
The majority of that. So they're young and healthy. Well, as usual, we've clipped through this half hour of the cooking show and
That's right.
grooming show. We've touched a lot of different bases. We did manage to get some hockey in, Tom. But
so here's two things: we got to get Terry, your wife, on. We'll do a cooking version of the show, and we got to get when you go to the salon to get your nails done and everything. We'll get her to video that when you get your hair.
For sure. I'll make sure we get some video of my hair salon experience.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So thanks for joining us, everybody.
See you on Monday, guys.